What's going on, everybody? About to get things going on right now. Let's get into this. So, I gotta shoot the link to the link. We're really gonna get started. But while we wait, let's wait with reason and purpose.
All of your Green Gear 25% off until the end of the year. Promo code bye bye 2020. So here is some silly shit for you. Make room in your freezer, American. Now you can satisfy your sweet tooth and
Let me go ahead and fix my sound.
if you're white.
All right. Gotta fix my sound, y'all. My fault. My fault.
You can satisfy that hard on that you have to help poor little black folk. I'll tell you, poor little black folk. I'll tell you how. So, Colin Kaepernick, Lord of the Woke, is coming out with new ice cream. That's right. The new ice cream he's partnered with Ben and Jerry's. And don't worry, they checked all the boxes on the cringe/woke chart. Because there's a picture of Colin Kaepernick on the outside of the container. And of course, he's wearing his uniform. He has his big old afro, his hair all picked out like this is a fucking Soul Train line in 1974. So his hair's all got his natural out, and then he has the black fist up in the air. Man, stop it! Is this what Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale envisioned for the Black Power symbol? Now it's been hijacked. It's been perverted, like a lot of other things. The mainstream has got a hold of it. They will poke it, prod it, and fuck it, and leave it in a shivering pile with the mainstream's juices leaking out of all of its orifices. Are you kidding me? Why the fuck do you have a Black Power fist on a carton of ice cream? I'll tell you why. Because this shit's not for real. It's a joke. They don't even take that shit serious. Ice cream. And it's vegan. I know a lot of people have been shitting on it because it's vegan. I can have vegan ice cream. I've had vegan ice cream like kind of made with coconut milk. The shit's pretty good. That's not my problem with it.
Right.
This shit is silly. So
Hit like the pint bottle shit in
pint
sunshine.
of ice cream with the Black Power fist
To
on
this
it. I'm
channel.
not
You want to
sure
join?
how this is going to help black
Link is
folks,
in the comment
assuming they
section.
need help, and that you're the one to give them
Or to the
help
side,
via
whatever the fuck
your
you
ice
want.
cream. So if somebody who's racist, going like, hey man, you gotta get me my fucking white hood and my torch. Don't forget to soak the cross so we can burn it. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Ice cream? You're not vegan. I don't need no fucking... That's good. Who's that Colin fella on the outside? Colin Slapper Dick. What? Man, that ice cream good, man. Hey, go put my hood away and rinse off that cross. We ain't doing that shit no more. This ice cream has changed my life.
They really like.
Is that gonna fucking happen? Ice cream, guys. They've gotten so desperate for help
So
that they're
woke.
turning to ice cream.
Wokeity woke.
That's how serious this bullshit is not. Who the fuck is Colin Kaepernick? Colin Kaepernick first rose to fame through the NFL.
Half white.
He couldn't do that right.
Put him on the
He
bench.
got benched behind Blaine Gabbert.
Put his ass on the bench.
If
now
you know
wanna be
anything
so
about football, you know how sorry that dude
fuck out of
is.
here with that shit.
He was offered a contract by the 49ers, and he turned it down because he wanted to ride this woke bullshit wave to its conclusion. And it seems to still be pretty lucrative.
Lucrative. Money.
Ice cream. So all these civil rights leaders who were struck down, who just couldn't seem to get it right, all they had to do was partner with fucking dryers or something, and everything would be okay. And there are people, obviously, they're not going to sell the shit unless somebody's buying it. There are people out there who take this shit seriously, that think through eating this new vegan ice cream, they are somehow doing something.
Thank you. Let me tell
you. You know why it's coming to silly, stupid shit like this? Because there's nothing to be done. And if there is anything to be done, it's not through these fucking woke, out-of-touch athletes and actors and other types of famous people. It's just like everything else in America. You only get it through hard work.
The fuck does that?
Now, let's put one more cherry on top of this silly bullshit Sunday that we're building. So you know her from such powerful interviews as sitting down with Biden's perverters and one of his kids. If you have a overly moist vagina, she made your anthem. WAP. Remember? Wet ass pussy. I'm talking about retarded B. And just when you thought, man, she interviewed the former vice president of the United States, it can get no better. But you're wrong. You're wrong. And it can. Because she is, according to Billboard, the woman of the year. Yes.
I knew you was going to say
Cardi B is woman of the year. That tells you what the competition was like. And not to be out there, remember we just talked about Lord of the Woke, Colin Kaepernick. We just talked about him, the resurgence of the Black Panther Party. We talked about his wokeness. So not to be outdone, who did they have present the award to Retarded B for Woman of the Year? None other than the mother of the media darling, because her life happened to be taken by the cops. If it was taken by another black person, none of them would get half the shit. Breonna Taylor's mom. That's right. I don't know if Breonna Taylor's mom is a record executive, but I know Billboard has to do with music.
Because it's fake.
But they got her to come on down and present the award. And of course, the award ceremony was awkward because of the sweet and sour sniffles. So everybody's via Skype, Zoom.
Fake, bro.
The person who was hosting it was in a big ass arena by themselves. It was.
All right. Link. Copy the link. Boom, boom, boom. To your URL. Click on the link. Show up. We are here. I'm waiting on you, my man. Waiting on you. That's the link right there. The link. StreamYard link. Copy that link. Boom, boom, boom. Plug it in. Open up. We here. We're waiting on you. Since it's so mind-numbing, I'm just messing with you. It's mind-numbing. It is funny how you don't see no dark skin, really blacker than black people talking about how the white man got his foot on your neck. Because y'all probably knock him the hell out. Ain't that right? You know what I'm saying? To me, it's always got to be the softest people that's speaking for black people. And my mind is what I see. And that's where the criticism comes in. When we realize it's fake, it's made up. It was a noose when you got the same ropes when you're pulling down the garage. These things are made up. So we sick and tired of it. We're going to keep coming up with criticism. So yeah, go ahead and link is right here. Link is right here. You know what I'm saying? My man. So you ain't scared. I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm being scared.
Yeah.
My man. See, you ain't scared.
Scared of what?
Exactly. That's my point.
Man,
I was waiting on your boy the live last night. That I ain't even gonna lie, that disappointed me. I'm like, bruh.
oh man, I'm from Seven Ward, New Orleans.
Oh, all right. You ain't scared of shit. I mean, that must be what
Come
that
on,
means.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, what are y'all talking about with Colin Kaepernick, man?
Oh, that was.
If you hold 1 second,
Let me be specific. Let me be specific.
hold 1 second from me. I'm
All
trying
right,
to let me put my earpiece in. Give me 1 second.
all right, all right. Speaking of which, I got one myself. I got one myself. Speaking of which, things a lot better on my side too. I just can't move. Far.
Yo, yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yo,
Yo, can you hear me?
yeah. All right, I can.
All right, bet. Turn me up a little bit. All
All right,
right, we in the fit.
I'm not gonna stay too long. I'm not gonna
That's
stay too
cool.
long. Long day for me, but man, what are y'all talking about in regards to Colin Kaepernick, man? What is wrong
He
with you black
teamed up.
people?
He not you black people. Dang, that's group tank thinking again. What happened was just recently he came out with an ice cream with him doing a Black Power fist with one of these ice cream companies, a well named ice cream company, Ben and Jerry's. So what we were saying was, how does he think this is gonna help black people? Moves like putting a Black Power fist with your fro out on the front of a cover of an ice cream cone going vegan because you extra woke don't seem serious to people like me. That don't seem to me. Inner city kids are not gonna be. They're not gonna get away from inner, inner city violence and gang violence by saying it's not. To me, it's not helping. You're undercutting the seriousness of a real problem by trying to be popular. Once again, you're going with that popular woke crowd. You're not really serious to me, and it's like you're playing your black race hustling again. You're getting money because you're on the bench. You ain't been doing shit in your career, so you got to figure out something else. And it's popular right now to be woke. To me, as far as what a lot of people are doing, and that's what he's doing recently.
So
Um,
I haven't followed. I've seen it come across my timeline. I read snippets around this new deal that he's doing. I haven't really connected it to what you're talking about just yet. So I do a little bit more research on this new deal with the ice cream. If you
okay.
look at the
Mm.
overall body of work of Colin Kaepernick, it's a pretty good body of work. So I don't know what the criticism is about the fact that he was a subpar player, that he didn't take the money, that he was on the bench. Why is that even an issue? First of all, to be in the NFL, right?
Because when we go down, but not
You
mainly.
have to be
Oh, go ahead. I'm gonna let you get your point across. Go ahead.
when you're in the NFL, you're a professional. So for people like you, myself, and your guy on here to criticize somebody who's a professional, you're not even in a position to do that. Number one. Number two, if you look at the guy's statistics,
Me,
he's
of
a
course
middle
we
of the
are.
pack.
If you're
If you
watching
look
it,
at his statistics, he's a middle of the pack quarterback. He wasn't the best. He wasn't the worst. He was an okay quarterback. He took his team to the Super Bowl. Not too many quarterbacks who are who are busted, take that team to the Super Bowl. So, and then on top of that, he led a civil rights agenda with with the NFL and trying to spark a change. And we got black people who don't want to support him. That's why it's
That
very hard to make a change. The guy sacrificed his career. He gave $1 million at the height of all of this stuff, right? He didn't have to give $1 million. He went on a tour and he gave like $10,000 per city that he went to, right? Up to $100,000 per city they went to, up to $1 million. The
then
guy
you go.
donated money to his.
Oh, go ahead, because you about to make your home point.
The guy gave money to his camp. Right? He donated his services. Right, he's teaching kids on know your rights, how to handle interactions with cops. I mean, I don't understand the criticism. Like, not everybody is going to live up to your standards. Not everybody's going to be perfect, but you got to look at a person's body of work. You got to look at their heart and their spirit. And nothing about me says Colin Kaepernick is anti-black. Nothing says he's a sellout. If the guy's trying to make some money and he's doing a deal, y'all should be encouraging that. Why you want your brother to make some money? That sounds like nothing but hatred. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually, we should be look. When you look at Kyle Rittenhouse, who goes to jail for shooting people, whites support him. They set up a GoFundMe and they bailed him out. $2 million.
You said for
bail.
who? Who shooting people? Who now?
But we weren't Kyle Rittenhouse.
Are you? But
the guy that shot people and what is that?
But look, when you go to that situation, it's literally group tank related, because you go to the group tank era where people say racist white individual shooting peaceful protesters. I didn't think peaceful protesters would club you upside the head with a skateboard, one, and you end up on the floor.
That's
Two.
a different conversation. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing.
My point across. Two,
I'm not making an argument about whether Kyle Rittenhouse.
Two, if it was a GoFundMe page, it was based on.
I'm not making an argument.
Any of us, me, you. If somebody called you and said, "Cuz, we could legally have guns. I need you to come in and make sure my business is good," and you happen to come across skin color aside, because you black, skin color aside, and you happen to see rioters, black-owned business. You got your cousin got a business. He called you, said, "Cuz, I need you to protect this joint. You got your AR. We legal, so we'll be good." If you was to put yourself in his situation, it wouldn't even be a conversation or discussion, based on the fact that, number one, it shouldn't be involved, but the color of your skin, which it shouldn't be involved, but that's the only thing that had headlines, white, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. That was liberal headlines. We had no.
You're not
based
listening
on
to me,
what
though.
led up to the information.
Right, but
Go ahead.
Right, but you're not listening to me. Listen to me. I'm not making an argument about whether his shooting was legitimate or not. That's a different conversation, and that's going to make our conversation much longer. Right? What you're saying about Kyle Rittenhouse is false, but I'm not going to go into why you're false about it. The bigger point I was making was really tying the Kyle Rittenhouse back to Colin Kaepernick, which is why I jumped on, right? Because that was a big part of the guys' rant that was on here about Colin Kaepernick. My point was, Kyle Rittenhouse, his people supported him and raised $2 million. But we would sit around as black people, you know what I'm saying, Colin Kaepernick was really fighting for a real cause. He wasn't fighting because he shot somebody. He was fighting because he said, you know what? I want to see police reform. I want to see my people stop being shot in the street. And he got shunned from the NFL from that. And yet he gets a double whammy, because he gets it from white America, he gets it from the NFL, and then he gets it from own people like you guys who say, you know what? He was a bum in the NFL. He doesn't deserve a shot. He doesn't deserve to make any money. Come on, man. Like, how you gonna move black? That's what I'm saying. It's hard to be somebody like that. It's hard to be somebody like that.
I would never say he shouldn't this, he shouldn't that. I would never say he shouldn't get a shot. He was just saying he's a bum. Is you talking about statistic in football alone, aside from the whole conversation. My whole point was, if you are an active player and you have a following in a movement and you're using that following in a movement for something that you agree on but I don't agree on, it's not legitimate to the whole base, because you got two blacks that don't agree on his base that we obviously don't see eye to eye on, but he fighting for your cause, not mine. My cause is circled around what you said, how to what you said, interact with the police. That's the only thing I would even be focused on. How to even talk to the don't listen to your mother saying, I'm gonna call the police if you don't listen to me. That's black culture. Whites don't do that. Once again, we don't understand how to even attack it in the inside, in which our culture is directly affected from the fight that we say we fighting. If you're trying to fight the black fight, injustice, it has to be from the cause perspective, not the result. So I must put my fist up in the air because you ain't getting results because it already happened. Somebody already got shot. You coming after the fact and putting your hand up in the air. That's not going to stop a hater from capping somebody else. I'm going from the problem result standpoint. If you want to come up with a solution, it ain't gonna be on a ice cream. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be on a. It ain't gonna be opposed on the ice cream joint. That's not what the Black Panthers had when they started out. I agree with their movement. That's not what they had in mind. So that's where I'm coming from with it. It's not hitting
This
the.
this is this is
If you wanna
this
attack
is
the
three this is 3 year this is this is 3 years later, right? He's been on the NFL roughly 3 years, right? He's championed so many other different things besides this ice cream thing. That's because you don't support Colin Kaepernick. Because when you you support someone because of their body of work. But when you don't support them, you look for things to nitpick at somebody about. You waited 3 years
it,
later
it,
to find something that is considered a 50-50. You can argue for it. Let me finish. You can argue
okay.
for it. This is a good thing or not. But what's indisputable was that the guy gave up his career to support and to protest the inequalities and inequitable issues in policing, in the criminal reform system. The guy spoke openly. He was very articulate about it. He was clear, and he backed it up with his money. You know what I'm saying? And like you guys never supported him from day one. I would assure you that you don't. I can tell. I can tell based on the intensity from the guy that's in his message to you. I can tell based on that intensity in your voice that you guys never stood by Colin Kaepernick. So no matter what he does, he's not going to win you over because you don't support Colin Kaepernick. You
And
don't.
that's exactly
That's because I don't know.
okay. Okay. That's exactly how
That,
we
that's
feel.
because that's because you're subscribing to
That's how we feel when it comes to the conservative
you're
message. And
subscribing to
people
right
will
wing.
tell them, you said right wing. You're already leaning
You,
towards what I'm about to say without me saying it. That's exactly how we feel when it comes to the conservative message and who tells you. That's the exact same emotion that you just got. You'll never. It don't matter what we do. You could, as you said when I was talking about your boy the brain surgeon. Um, uh, uh, you can separate twins, conjoin twins from the head, and be a top member in the White House, but none of that matters because your body of work is, and then you reduce the body of work down to the word coonism, which I don't necessarily want to parade around on my channel because that's not part of really what I do. But as far as you said, the body of work, that's literally exactly how conservatives feel when we go. How come y'all won't listen to when one of us conservatives make it and we start doing stuff for the community, creating entrepreneur programs for the young blacks,
I, I,
young black
I
stuff
have,
like that.
I haven't met I haven't met a solid conservative that has a strong body of work.
One question as far as works, I will ask you is you. I seen you. I latched on your stuff because you was talking about Jesse Lee Peterson. Bond, brotherly organization of a new destiny, rebuilding family by rebuilding the man. Do you agree with his entrepreneurship program, helping youth with start their own business, so they don't have to come up with a narrative about the white man can hold you down? Um, helping them, just basically helping them with anything, even if you need either a laptop or a suit. Like we're helping them to be professionals, raise professionals from when they're young. This is how
Jesse Lee Peterson programs is a
next
Republican conservative lab experiment.
lab experiment.
Jesse Peterson is a
Damn.
conservative laboratory.
Damn.
His programs is how do you build conservatives and people that would support the Republican Party by masquerading as a African American empowerment camp, right? You say it's one thing, but you actually are whitewashing kids because you're dismissing the history, the heritage, right? You don't want to tell them the reality about history, right? And you don't want to tell them that, hey, like Republicans don't understand balance. They just think everything's extreme. You know, we're pro-life. Let me make my point.
Okay.
Let me make my point. Y'all thinking extremes is never balanced. You just said, oh, pro-life, we just mean abortion, right? When you say, hey, we Second Amendment, we don't care who has a gun, we just care about Second Amendment. That's it.
That's your brain.
We don't care who wants an abortion, we just against abortion. And so, but you got to have policies that actually are practical, right? If a female is raped, you think you're going to stand by having a policy that says, you know what, you've been raped, you're still forced to have a kid? Or if you have complications from birth, if you have complications.
I told them that is obviously, if you have a brain with a brain stem, it's two exceptions: incest and rape. I ain't a Republican to say no matter what, it's a life. I ain't talking like that. And main people that talk that stand on the forefront of pro-life are supposed to be talking about two things. One, which Trump, you cannot say this is a bad law, because if you do, I'm going to look at you some kind of way. Baby Born Alive bill that dismisses any legal legislation that promotes or admits that the baby can be born after 9 months and put on the table, and you put injection in them in the baby. It has been done already.
Okay, but listen to me. I'm not talking about abortion. Listen to me though. I was bringing up abortion to get to my bigger point, which is going back to Jesse Lee Peterson.
All
right. But I'm trying to bring it back to Jesse Lee Peterson, right? And so my point is this: Jesse Lee, if you look at I haven't seen an actual curriculum. I haven't been through his actual program. I haven't talked to anyone firsthand. I just heard Jesse Lee Peterson explaining himself, right? And I know his background, and I know how he see things. And so I've done charitable work in schools before. I help younger kids. I worked at an elementary where I was one of the few black mentors in that elementary. He had a lot of white mentors. And I seen that there was a big difference in the way kids view the world when it's someone black versus someone white. Now, Jesse Lee Peterson is black, but I actually put him in a white category, right? Because he actually thinks he's white. And so, but the way you raise kids, when you don't have any connections to your culture and to your heritage, right? You grow up with a level of disconnect. And so as an African American, you should always be connected to your roots. You should know your history. You shouldn't dismiss it. And dismissing it and knowing your history doesn't mean you're going to go through life being a victim. You racial oppression involves victims. African American community are victims of oppression. Now you have to face that. Jesse Lee Peterson says that's not an issue. Don't worry about slavery. It really not. Actually, Jesse Lee Peterson says slavery was the best thing that happened to Black people. If you actually listen to his messaging, right?
But
And so, but
but
he's white. He's whitewashing his kids in this conservative laboratory that he calls the Jesse Lee Peterson Empowerment Camp. That's all it is. It's a laboratory for conservatives.
so what I would so my rebuttal to that is one thing. I'm just tell you what I get out of his situation. One thing I realized with him was he reminded me of one of my relatives, my great grandfather, and it was the two things that reminded me of him. Number one, they was both born on a farm, in southern conditions, so they could and both of them they have a different perspective of life because of that reason. They were not in inner city situations born, so they can't look at life in a perspective where they could see the political tug and pull of the white man. This Negro did not see that and feel it. So I understand that that's a fact based on how he talks. Y'all call it dismissal. I grew up around people who were on farms that if the white man came and thought he was going to do something, they had guns. They didn't live in a fear, heart mentality where they actually believed that the white people could even touch them. That's the a white man on my neck mentality that I don't agree with, and I had that non-agreement passed down with me. I just don't believe at a certain point, once you own your rights that came from God, which is your body and your property, can't nobody do anything to you. If you pass that on to your kids, no matter what laws and legislation are passed down, especially Jim Crow, it really can't touch you because once they bring their hounds, the hounds ain't gonna do nothing if you're on property that has acres in a distance and you got a rifle. Another quotation that Malcolm X said, I got a rifle. He was taken out not by no white man, which helped me realize also it wasn't always the white man's problem because he attacked it head on. He was the first person that I looked up to, Malcolm X. Took it head on, went inside our community from within, knew the white men at the top and the black men at the top, and the Arabs, went to the spot of the Arabs and came back to America and tried to put everything together. One thing I got out of Jesse Lee's message was one thing was true when he was talking about racism, which no black even likes to even agree with. A few blacks agree with it because it's true that the Arabs sold the blacks to the whites and the whites the blacks around transatlantic slave trade, which I know happened because I could check my DNA and see where my
Okay,
ancestors.
you're making a lot of points. So you talk like 5-10 minutes, and I'm trying to home in on like one point that we can talk about. And so
Okay,
right, so
we talking about
you're
race and how.
one of the things the thing that stuck out to me is that you say you don't believe that basically black people can be harmed or
No,
that
that
the white man has no control over
hard.
them,
No,
right?
you
Is
gotta
that
be naive.
that's
That's what I'm saying. That's naive. Nope. What I'm saying is it's a literal mentality of believing.
give me the short version.
Okay, I don't believe the white man is above you. One, two. I don't believe in any form that the white man can have power over authority. That you talking about power? You talking about authority over any black man? Anybody can have that if you give it up. That's the only case that can happen. But as me, if I'm looking at you,
Okay,
I don't believe
so
no group or
okay,
and I don't care what their
okay,
position of power
so
is.
you
They don't got a dominion over you. They ain't got
so you're
authority
saying
over you. They can hate on you. They can do shit to you,
uh,
but that don't mean they got
uh,
dominion and
so
authority on
you
who you are.
okay, so but both things can be true, right? You can believe that a white man is not above you, but also you can believe that a white man has power over you. Both things
That's
can
the
be
thing.
true.
I don't believe that a white man has power over me. So I can't. That's like I can't link that. You know what I'm saying? I
But
can't link myself to that.
you're saying that in theory. In practice, they do.
And I'm
You look
saying,
at slavery. White man owns black slaves. You look at Jim Crow. You look at redlining. You look at mass incarceration. You look at black codes. You look at all the hundreds and hundreds of black massacres from
then I
Black
got
Wall
then I got
Street to New
then I gotta
Orleans to
go.
Thibodeau to
Then I
South
got to
Carolina.
go.
You
Then I
you
got to go right to culture. Everybody knows slavery was never a white thing. The white man learned slavery from the Arabs. The white man was supposed to be a caveman, and we taught him everything. So if you wanted to use the catalyst of that, then it's going to be false.
what that has to do what that has to do what that has to do with the black slave? What that has to do with
Because
the
the
black
black
experience of being a
slave,
slave?
because the black slave only became a black slave from another black.
Like I'm not gonna argue because you make a lot of points. I'm not gonna argue if it's the Arabs, where the white people learn slavery from and how they
Basically,
learned it and what all the tricks of the
my,
trade to being a
basically
what I'm
my
saying
point
to you
was,
is that
basically my
what I'm
point
saying
was,
to you is
like,
the mindset that you're what I'm saying to you is the mindset. You're saying white people do not have power over you. First of all, I don't think
what I'm
black
saying is,
people walk around thinking I don't think black
go ahead.
people walk around thinking anyone has power over them. But they do understand the realities of racism and discrimination. Those two things can be you can believe in both things at the same time. Just because I
You,
believe in racism and discrimination, don't mean I think someone is above me.
but a lot of people do. That's my point. If I literally say out my mouth, I'm scared to go out the house
Tell me one person. Tell me what.
because I think a
So
white
why?
cop
So
on
again, I just gave you.
face.
I just gave you the rationale. I just gave you the rationale for that. Just because you're afraid to go outside because you know, hey, if I get stopped by a police officer, right, my chances of surviving that police encounter could be very slim. It could be deadly. That's a
But
reality. But do I think a
my
white
point
person is
was,
above me? Do I think the
you just
officer
said
is above
you
me?
just said one word
No,
though.
I understand the realities.
You just said you're saying it again. You said it twice. Reality. Before you walk out the house, you create your own reality inside here. It's called a universe. Anything that happens outside your universe happen in yours first. That's the first thing we understand as blacks. We colorful as a motherfucker. When we go outside, it's black outside because that is us. We understand that shit. We created everything as we say we are gods, right? So if we're gonna hold ourselves to that same goddamn standard, you gotta hold it when you walk out the house. You can't drop that shit when you walk out the house and feel scared in your heart because he's gonna feel that fear, internalize it, and eat you. The same energy that you project has to come back the same exact way. If you project fear, it's gonna attach itself onto a dog that sniffs your fear, and you cannot be mad when that dog smells it because it's doing its instinct. The only way a dog could become bloodthirsty is if it drinks the blood, smells the fear, and hunts the
And
animal.
so do you own a dog?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you're familiar with dogs, right? So
Yes,
when they
very.
say when you say hey a dog has been you ever seen a dog that's been traumatized? Like
Yes.
have you been
Yeah,
to
I used to own one.
have you
I
ever
used to
been to
own
a
one.
kennel where they're selling dogs, right? Or they want to give them away?
Yes,
And like
yes,
some of
yes.
the dogs are
Very.
so afraid or they've been traumatized or they've been so fucked up that nobody wants them. Like you go to a kennel and you walk by the cages and you look at the dogs, they're like they all
I know
fucked
where you're
up.
going with
Like
this. You're going,
one got
you're
a
going
one
with
leg. Let me
mental
finish.
condition.
Let me finish. So a dog got a leg. Some dogs got one leg. Some dogs just been traumatized mentally. Some dogs have been neglected. They haven't been fed. They haven't been properly, housed, right? And so, and then when you go and adopt that dog has a residual issue from what they've been traumatized from previously. So when you say, hey, when black people, and your analogy was a dog who says, you know what, if you fear, the dog is they're gonna sniff that fear, right? And so what I'm saying to you is, just like a dog, you can be traumatized. You know what I'm saying? Saying this, you're putting things in very simple terms, but you're not adding context. You're just talking like a pie in the sky. You're making pie in the sky point.
No, my context.
That's because you don't want. That's because in order to be a Republican,
the dog was the police because it was going along the narrative of being hunted. I can make my context. You just got to ask me what I mean by the dog. The dog was the police sniffing out the fear, and the supposed victim or the person who went out the house and had the fear. I'm putting this like if it was me. If I'm if I'm the citizen and the dog is the police and me, DJ, if I walk outside, I know it's bad cops that exist. You can literally project it because I did it. I tested it out. You can project fear on somebody else who didn't even know you was fearing them until you got close to them. And once they smelt it, a situation happened. That's literally all I'm saying. It's bad cops that exist.
But you're making an argument based on someone's internal feeling.
But that's how
instead of making policies. Hold up. Instead of making policies and legislate on what you can see, you're trying to project what you think people feel.
No, they say this. That's a
very hard.
They say if LeBron James said,
I've never heard
LeBron James said out his mouth he's scared to go outside. You big as shit, and you said to the world, I'm scared to go outside because we being hunted down by dogs. Nigga, you own armed security. They got Glocks on. We niggas know you. Niggas know your security. I'm in security. Niggas know who he is and who worked for him. So
right. You could again. I'm going back to my same statement. You could be afraid to go outside, right? Because you recognize the realities of racism and discrimination. That doesn't mean you don't walk outside. That doesn't mean you don't walk outside. That doesn't mean you don't walk outside with your head up high. That doesn't mean you don't walk outside prideful. That doesn't mean you don't go to work and give it your all. You're making connections that is very hard to connect. There's no statistics. There's no study. You don't have a pulse on someone's tolerance level on how much they fear, whether they go outside or not. That's very hard to calculate. A better calculation is, why are you worrying about the victims? Why you don't want to address the people that are actually the perpetrators? You can actually document officers. They just had a video floating around now. An officer was planting drugs and guns on black people. Those are things that you can document. But you're trying to calculate something and measure something that's immeasurable.
That's the difference. Laws are already legislated where we could get the wrong cop out the way faster than the criminal. The laws are being switched like this.
No, it's not. No,
it is. This is the same reason why you even admitted yesterday or the day before, whenever we had this conversation, that laws were being put in place where you could get people who have sex offended and rape. You could get them out. They're already putting the no bail law out, and the Democrats are leading that no bail, which means we don't give a fuck what you did. Ain't no bail. Ain't nobody gonna bail you out. We probably gonna let your dumb ass out anyway. And you said something about
I mean, first of all, number one, black people are not dumb. Number one, hold up. No, number one, black people are not dumb, right? There are a whole bunch of people that commit crimes. Kyle Rittenhouse committed a crime, and number two, Khalif Browder he was a high profile case. He was arrested, but apparently still in a book bag, and he did 3 years in Rikers Island. He did 2.5 of those years in solitary confinement. So that's what I'm
And,
saying.
and,
There are
and
things that you can
that's like
document about the
that's like a
experiences
back and
about
forth
the
thing.
dog that you're talking about, which is the cops. But you spending time you spending time trying to measure and calculate someone's tolerance level of their fear, which is flabbergasting. That's not,
If it's
you
based
can't even
on how you go about your day,
you can't
that's
you
that's
can't
result.
science that. You can't survey that. You probably can
Oh yes,
sample
you
it and get
can.
people's
Yes,
opinion,
you can.
but
You think you can.
you
Let's talk about it. You think you can.
right, but
You think you
you're wasting time, and this is common. This is why I say I haven't met a solid conservative yet, because you guys
because
don't
I'm
make solid
talking
arguments. You
when I say fear, I'm talking. I don't want to talk over you. When I say fear, I'm strictly talking about energy. It's different with me. People say fear. I go to how the media calculation calibrates fear. They put fear in the realm of fear mongering. I don't. I put it in the realm of energy because in order to fear something, it's a feeling. It's energy. It can be changed. I could one day fear a white man and the next day think that can't no white man touch me. So it's a different. It's an energy.
But my
I
man,
can't.
my man,
You know what I'm saying?
that's not a policy. That's not a policy. You can't policy or legislate energy. You can't energy your way out of racism and discrimination. That again,
That
you
was
probably
kind of
went
my
to Jesse
point.
Lee Peterson's
That was
camp,
kind of my
and he's
point.
taught you
That's
how
kind of
to
my point.
that you went to Jesse Lee Peterson's laboratory, right? And he converted you. And he said, you know what? You have to dismiss racism and discrimination, and you have to own it, right? You can't think both ways. You can't own it and face the realities of discrimination and
I never
racism.
said it never happened. I don't put it on my top 10. That's the only difference that makes me different. I don't
So
walk out the
let me
house
let
with
me ask you something.
posters
What is
and
number one? What is number one? It doesn't make top 10. So what's number one for you?
family, family, family. Without
Okay,
family,
what about family?
what about family? One
What
thing that
about family?
one thing that you probably would say I got from Jesse Lee Peterson, absent fathers in the home. When I'm talking about absent, ain't no dad in the home. Period. And I'm talking about like my brother. When I
Jesse
was
Lee Peterson have kids out of wedlock.
fuck Jesse. Hey, fuck
Jesse
Jesse
Lee
for the sake
Peterson
of
has
for the sake of
no.
conversation.
Hold up. You saying fuck Jesse? Jesse Lee Peterson is your flagship example. What are you talking about?
We talking
Now
about
you saying
points
fuck
that
Jesse
I
Lee Peterson? Jesse
I
Lee
told you.
Jesse
I
Lee
told you when
Peterson
we first
had
met,
Jesse
though.
Lee
I told you when we
Peterson
first met,
had
though. All conservatives
Jesse
ain't the
Jesse Lee
same.
Peterson
I don't.
Jesse Lee
He's
Peterson
far,
has
far
kids out of
right,
wedlock.
and I was honest
J-
about that. Right? He's far right. I'm not
uh,
far right.
okay, so let me make a
So you
point.
can't make everything
Right.
that Jesse
Let me
say
make
what
a
I
let me make a point. You
go ahead.
can't bring up somebody, right? And to have credibility, right?
Huh?
You can't be contradictory. You can't be hypocritical, right? Jesse Lee Peterson, who you spoke positive about the whole time just now, you just say fuck
Look,
him, right? Because they don't
I
support your
said
narrative.
fucking, but
But Jesse Lee
you
Peterson
cut off
has
my
kids out of
feelings.
wedlock.
I said for the sake of conversation, if we was basing it on one specific topic, he says fathers in the home. I said remove him so we can only talk about fathers in the home, so it don't become a Jesse conversation. That's why I said that.
You, you,
Context,
you, you
context.
can't
Body of work,
you
right?
can't move him. You can't move him because look, that's not context. That's called moving the goalposts. That's what that's called.
Nah, it's
You
not
don't want
moving
to
the
talk about Jesse
goalpost.
Lee Peterson
I'm
because
specifically talking
it
about
damages your
an
argument.
aspect. I'm specifically talking about an
No,
aspect that's going to lead
it
me to
damages your
a
argument.
result. It's going to lead me to a result. I'm talking about an aspect of the conversation I agree with that's going to lead to a result. Because if you only want to talk about Jesse, it's going to be a Jesse podcast. That ain't this podcast. I'm mentioning something on the conservative side that most conservatives agree with, that he agree with, that I'm bringing to the forefront so I can make my point. If that's hard for you to understand, then goddamn, I'm specifically talking about one subject. He agrees with
I understand it. I I understand what you're saying. I also understand that you're moving the goalposts. You just don't want to. You don't want to admit that.
God,
Let's move on. Let's exclude. Let me help. Let me help you out. Let me help you out.
Lord.
Right? Let me help you out, and let's
Yeah,
remove Jesse Lee Peterson, because you're gonna bring Jesse Lee back into the discussion when it supports your narrative, and you're gonna omit him when he doesn't. So let's roll without Jesse for right now. Let's talk about family.
Yeah, please,
So
man, please,
you don't see how the family structure could be broken down because of racism and discrimination. So, for example, a LeBron James who is afraid to go outside his home, right? Who may get stopped by a cop, and if that interaction goes wrong, or the wrong way, he could be shot and killed. He could be falsely arrested, right? He could be sentenced harshly, right? He could be on parole a longer period of time compared to white counterparts. So every aspect of the criminal system, because we only talk about shootings and being killed, but you could be falsely arrested, or you could be arrested and be overcharged, or you could be overcharged and be sentenced to a longer period of time. Look at the cocaine crack disparity.
For this conversation,
right? That was a racial policy.
But for this conversation, what ifs are subjective and they don't lead us into any results when it comes to facts and what's going on. Because you brought up 3 what ifs.
That's not what ifs. I'm giving you stats. I gave you policy. Cocaine crack disparity was the cocaine crack policy is a real policy. Your guy Donald Trump wanted to undo that. Why did he want to undo that? Because it was harmful to African Americans. That is reality. I don't know why you have to make an argument about not being real.
He wanted to undo what? We gotta go back so I can get your point. He wanted to undo. You just said the crack cocaine policy. What one? Which one? What policy? It was like you brushed over the whole thing.
The First Step Act. The First Step Act was to. The First Step Act was designed to remove the cocaine crack disparity, where blacks who were sentenced for having cocaine, right, at a longer sentencing for the same drug, basically, that whites were having.
Obama did before he got out of office. I don't think he did anything wrong. Obama did the exact. He said out his mouth. Obama said, "I let go of people who were kingpins. We watched them walk out of the jails." But when Trump do it, oh, you just.
I don't think you listen to me. I'm trying to give you credit here. It's a false credit, but I'm trying to give you credit here. What I'm saying to you is Trump tried to eliminate something that was harmful to black people, not just any people, specifically black people. So when I say you're always dismissing things that are realities to black people, why would he do that? That's because even Trump recognized it. How can you support someone who recognizes it and you say it's not real? You don't even fall in a line with the person that you support.
What I say, we ain't never talked about the crack epidemic for you to tell me it's not real. Because Negro back in the day, you don't know me, you don't know what I did or what I sold. Dude, to say something is not real is different because we don't have long streams of whites selling crack, well known, and they popping like we did because we bragged about it and put it in our rap song. Dude,
listen to me. Listen to me. But I'm saying you. But tied to my exact question, I'm gonna let you finish. My point of making that was because you say, Mitch, you're just making up assumptions. I said these are not assumptions, right? You said these are subjective assumptions, and I'm making a case that these are actual policies that Donald Trump wanted to advocate for.
I was only talking about LeBron James and the assumptions based on he may get locked up because of this. He may get shot by the police. That's literal assumptions. I may like if the frog wasn't jumping, he wouldn't have a glass. If he had a glass ass, he wouldn't be jumping all over the place. I can't F a fact and think it's going to come out of legislation like you said also. I can't if it. If I'm going to base things off facts and I'm black and I'm rich and I play in a professional sport, ifs can't be in my life. It's either going to happen or it's not going to happen. God, if I believe in God, got a plan for me regardless. It ain't going to be no divine white man that's going to take me out in my eyes if God ain't have a plan for it. Regardless of the laws and the discriminations, ain't no white devils that strong in my life because I swear to God, it don't work. To me, it don't work like that. As far as my belief, it don't work. It's not. It don't work like that for me. Some people may give that much energy to that side, so when it does happen, oh, you got victim waiters is what I call them. They was waiting for your ass to be a victim. A lot of people who was just sitting back like, listen, he gonna be here soon. Watch when one of these niggas get him. I know they're gonna get him. That's how I feel about that, what we call victim mentality. Before it happens mentality, even if it don't even happen. And suppose 10 years go by, you don't even get a flick of a result of that situation happening, of any police doing anything. Then you spent all that time soaking up everybody's money, talking about how the white man was going to get you, and you one of the richest motherfuckers on this side of the country. But you living off of our pain because we in the inner cities, and me and you could go out here and get into a situation at the liquor store and we could feel it. LeBron can't feel that because he ain't us, bro. I'm being honest about that portion of reality. That's the portion of reality I'm saying. He can't share our everyday experience and act like he us. I don't believe rich people who live with $4 million mansions and tell me that the white man got you down. That's the most bullshit to me. I only realize that because I see a lot of people who made it and told me they hang around these motherfuckers and they get money off of them.
You talk, but you're talking too long. Come on, we gotta keep that. We gotta keep you talking 10 minutes. And so, but you. So there's a couple of things you keep. And you talk so long, I can't narrow down to like one point. So I'm trying to argue one point at a time.
I just hit.
And so your overall point, basically, on LeBron James is that he's too rich. Okay, he's too rich to relate to black people. That's your argument, and I disagree with you because LeBron James wasn't always rich.
Not black. Forget that.
Listen to me.
Relate to me and you on our level of life. We can't think like LeBron James. We're not in that category. We're not in that category. We can't act like we are. So how the fuck we could have him stoop down to us?
Why not? Your whole argument was about not being a victim, changing your energy to positive energy. Why you can't be LeBron James?
You said why can't I be LeBron
James? You make a argument about LeBron James because he's rich and he's a basketball player, but he had to earn that. You could have been a basketball player. You could have been rich. Why you didn't earn it?
If that was God called me for, I would have earned it. I wouldn't be complaining about nothing. And when I made it there,
okay, you can't criticize LeBron James for being LeBron James because he blazed his trail. He just said he went in the gym, he perfected his craft, and
LeBron James. Wait. I respected LeBron James for his craft, nothing more. For his craft, nothing more. His job, what he was meant to do, what God called him to do, his craft. Anything outside of that had nothing to do with me because I didn't even know him for nothing else. That's a fact. He didn't get rich off black power. He got rich from a craft. Facts. You don't make it as a president of the United States.
So what is your I'm listening. But what's your overall point? Make your overall point. Just make one point for me so we can talk.
All right, my point is for the Colin Kaepernick, as I call him, and the LeBron James, social justice warriors that have a whole bunch of money. What is the solution? If we doing the same thing as we talked about the other day, we doing the same thing. We coming up with stuff. I'm mad because it ain't working. You said I'm mad at them coming up with stuff that ain't working. I'm mad at the. I guess I understand what you were saying. Basically, I can't be mad that it ain't working because at least they coming up with stuff. For me, it's not just that black and
So
white.
so 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 your so so your point is how do you come up with a solution? And my question to you
Right,
is just
right.
like
Not
you when you
not
got
ice
a
cream
issue
pot.
at your job,
Not
you got
what
an
you taste
issue.
on
You
ice cream pot.
let me talk. Let me talk, man.
Go ahead.
Um, just like any other problem that you have, right? Just like any other problem you have, how do you come up with a solution? The first thing you do is figure out what the problem is.
Sure.
That's where you and I disagree at. You
I
think the
guess.
problem is with energy and mentality.
Yeah,
I
that's me.
think the problem is right. I think the problem is racism, discrimination, implicit bias, right? A broken criminal system, a broken education system, not enough investments into the black community. America has never made black America whole. And so, of course, you're gonna be the argument and say, oh, well, black people just want handouts. Well, if you look historically, every time black people got handouts, everybody wins, right? The civil rights era, voting rights came by. Who won out of that? White women. Affirmative action came by. Who won out of that? Um, um, white women. So when you look at anything that comes about for African Americans, right? Japanese got reparations, Native Indians got reparations, the Jews got reparations, blacks never got reparations. Slave owners got reparations. They got reimbursed for slaves that they lost. So when you say, hey, there is a breakdown from where America made black people whole. That's a fact. They have not made people whole. Now the next piece to that is there a residual effect? There are documented evidence and studies and surveys that shows that time after time, African Americans has to deal with certain obstacles that nobody have to deal with over and over and over. Those are facts. But you don't want to address that because again, it's part of your politics. And again, you probably went to Jesse Lee Peterson's laboratory and he converted you, right? You might be a good brother, you might be a good solid dude, but again, you dismiss the problem, and you can never. That's why when you look at Republicans, they can never come up with solutions. Look at any policy, all the answers come from the
Just
left.
sounds so funny.
Why?
Like, what?
Because Democrats recognize the problem, and then they try to offer a solution.
Try. Boom. That's a
Republican solution is always a philosophy. Become 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 a free thinker, right? Don't think you're a victim. Don't think you're a victim. Pull up your bootstrap. They use all these different terminologies because they don't offer real solutions.
You know where that terminology
That's
actually
why.
comes from?
So my answer to you is, how do we get to a solution? It's where
That comes from anti-government, anti-government theology. We grew an anti-government theology when it came from the first and the second war, World War I and World War II. We understood it already in the Civil War that number one, that happened because the government was done. Number two, we already seen the White House burnt down, which a lot of blacks don't even know that happened. But yes, the White House was burnt down. It wasn't a bunch of blacks or a bunch of whites. It was a bunch of people who didn't agree with the government who burnt the motherfucker down and decided to erect whatever the hell they wanted to erect. And that's exactly what happened. In my eyes, I see the world moving towards what Tupac had said before he died as, yeah, it might be the White House might burn down again. You might see motherfuckers eat motherfuckers. And you might see this all basically he's saying it's gonna be a whole nother purge. But if you're gonna think like that and you black, it's another white motherfucker that was thinking the same way that made a song called Helter Skelter that was white and it was in the Beatles. So you can have the same perspective on the opposite spectrum, and y'all both know y'all gonna fight each other one day. Y'all both got the same thoughts. Whites are gonna fight blacks. Blacks are gonna fight white. Black power, white power. I'm in the middle telling both y'all motherfuckers, y'all both gonna fight, and I gotta watch y'all. Now I have to literally tell both y'all, knowing y'all gonna fight, and I gotta watch y'all, what both y'all are doing, and y'all don't see that both y'all calling each other oppressors. It's a bunch of white people calling blacks oppressors because they don't understand blacks. It's a bunch of whites. It's a bunch of whites. It's a bunch of blacks that's calling whites oppressors because they don't understand whites. It's a bunch of blacks, vice versa. Or if they was treated bad by a white, they related to all whites because in their demographic it's most blacks. So their perspective is gonna lean a certain way. I had a personal conversation with my grandmother. I asked her, have she seen real racism? How many times in your life? She said two. One was on the job force once ever, and she was making $50 an hour in that situation. The second time, that was the second time. Her first time was in the deep South, in Florida, driving past a Klan meeting, and the flag was burning. So I can, like I tell people, I can only talk about what I dealt with and felt. I grew up around a bunch of black supremacists that literally will give you a badge for fucking up a white person. So my perspective had to lean.
So
I was seeing the black side to go.
So that's why
the white side went.
So let me jump in. Let me jump in. Let me jump in. You went 4 months. You went 4 minutes.
All right.
Let me jump in. You went 4 minutes.
All right.
So again, you talk so long now. I'm trying to figure out these talking points. I gotta write some of this stuff down. But let's go backwards. So you say you only could talk about things that you personally experienced. That's why you have to read. You have to study. You have to look at history to get outside of your personal bubble. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do a lot of audiobooks. You gotta you can pick. You're gonna say, I say watch the news. You're gonna say all news is fake, right? Because I know that's the talking point from the right.
But you got listen to audiobooks of slaves in the early I'm talking about 1900 something, and they were still slaves. But they would literally tell you how they thought they would literally tell you how they thought your slave master that was a Native American, he was your same skin color, was gonna treat you better. And in their autobiography, as she talking, she said, as we thought he was gonna treat us better, he told us to listen up. As he raised hell and he drove his chariot and cracked his whip and made a loud noise because we wasn't going nowhere. Now that literally helps me understand the in my mind self-slavery. Like, we have a problem with recognizing when we fucked up in history. We blackwashed it, is what I like to call it. Put the white man in the in the place of where we fucked up at. Say the white man did. The white man.
Okay. So slow down.
I'm slowing. When we start this conversation,
you're making me forget where I want to go with this.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think of where I want to go with this, man. You be fully bustering, man. So
and they want to eliminate that.
One, you have to get outside of yourself, because this is the second conversation, and each time you always say, that's not my personal experience. I can't relate to that because I personally haven't seen it. And what I'm saying to you is, you're not going to see all the experiences collectively for Black people. That's why you have to look at data. You have to look at statistics. You have to look at history, right? You have to read. You have to look at news, whatever news source you want to use. Pick, have fun at it. So you have to get outside of your bubble. You know what I'm saying? And so, and something you said earlier, we talked. You talked so long, trying to figure out what did you say, but what were you saying? What were you saying, man? You know, we gotta short you up, man. 1 minute. And you go 10 minutes, man. And I'm like, and you make so many random points. Can't I can't slow you down.
It's
Um,
called cerebral context. I know how to bring three subjects into one. That's cerebral context. You can pick three subjects, put it into one. So it's a way of
so we was talking about bringing solutions, right? We was talking about the
yeah,
Republican Party don't have solutions, right? Then you went into
yes.
talking about your grandmother and she experienced
So
racism, right?
I'll give you
And so
examples of racism that I could actually hear from somebody who actually dealt with it. Not I saw on TV or social media. That is not real enough for me to just. I'm not talking to the person. It's not real, physically real enough to hit home. If you want it to hit home and you think I'm lying because I'm outside the bubble, certain things gotta be at home. It gotta hit home and at home around it, at least in your
so so
daggone family.
so
Something.
so
You know what I'm saying?
so you gotta so basically you gotta learn the Jonathan Price way. And I don't want to obviously wish that
No,
on you, but
come on, bro. I ain't got to
sound
get
like
by the
you
police.
sound like you going down
Yeah,
to
I got
sound like you're
locked up
going
by
down
the
to Jonathan.
police. You can't say that because I got locked up. I had a foot on the back. I had a knee on the back of my neck. You can't say it like that. I experienced being locked up by the police when I wasn't doing nothing wrong. They threw it away. My narrative was
But
going to be different based on that situation.
right, but I talked to you about the whole gamut of the criminal system. Just
Right.
because you got locked up,
Always
that doesn't
presented
mean
so that you don't want to go.
that that doesn't mean police brutality doesn't exist.
I said that. I never
Like
said
just
it
because
don't.
you go to make
That was my point. I
this
just said
because
it's
you go to
nothing.
McDonald's, this because you
Yeah.
listen to let me come on. Just because you go to McDonald's and your burger was good, that doesn't mean when I go to McDonald's that I make it a bad burger.
But you can't make your bad burger my experience is all I'm saying. And then you say, well, it's our
No,
experience
it's
because we
not true. It's not.
see what I'm saying? You can't say,
It's not
well,
about
my
your experience,
experience,
right? It is.
look how they do us. They fucked up my burger. I'm black. Now it's a black fucking
Is
you see where I'm going
and
with this?
it, and this it no. Let me just because it's not your experience, right? That doesn't mean McDonald's don't make bad burgers. You may just be delusional. But if you go to McDonald's and you see the reviews of McDonald's, nasty burger, nasty burger, nasty burger, nasty burger, nasty burger, nasty burger. At some point, McDonald's is going to have to close up because they're getting too many bad reviews, or they're going to have to start making good burgers. Now, they can't survive only because you like a burger.
Right. That's how the law works.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you travel to a hotel, like if you travel, do you look at the reviews and say, man, they got 5 stars, everything is perfect, but you know what? I haven't experienced it. It could be trash or it could be good. Like you don't take into account reviews, statistics, data at all. It's only about if I personally felt it, if it only hit home for me.
If
That's not how it works. You can't
came up
legislate
my
that.
conclusion based on a lot of people having the same reviews, quote unquote, as me. If my side of the aisle has the same reviews, your side of the aisle has the opposite reviews, we're just gonna be two different agreeing people. We're not gonna agree. You can't. It's the perspective basis. You can't base two different sides of the aisle that don't agree that McDonald's is good or bad. If we think McDonald's is good and y'all think it's bad, it's nothing in the line that's going to drop.
But my man, but you're not you're not making a macro argument. You making a microscopic argument. You making an argument on a very small sample size, and that's only your personal experiences. If you study statistics, you have to
It's
have
not.
more sample
I'm
size
giving you
to
my
order
personal
for it to
experience
be a
for
valid
perspective.
statistical measurement, right? But you're going around the world thinking everything is honky dory because you personally didn't experience it. That is not a practical
That's
argument.
not true. That's
No one
not
ever makes
true.
that kind of argument. That is
That's not true. That's
true.
perspective based.
That's very much true. That's why. That's why,
Perspective
my
based.
man. That's why you have reviews. That's why you have studies. That's why you have data. Otherwise, they wouldn't even allow you to put a review because they say, you know what? Nobody needs to know about your experience because it's all about your personal experience, your microscopic review. People want to see data. They want to see statistics because statistics put you in the ballpark of where you need to be. Whether you should stay at that hotel, whether you should buy that burger or not, because
And you
data
about to help.
over a period of time, over a large sample, right, is going to give you feedback. It's going to give you some insight on what your experience is going to be. You're
But if
making arguments on a very small, tiny, small ant sample, which is yourself.
that's a lie. Number one, the only reason why I can say it's a lie is because if you can only turn on social media and TV and they only giving one perspective, you're literally telling me my minute microscopic perspective doesn't equate to your media, which is the definition of brainwash. If you only got one perspective, you're making my point telling me that we ain't gonna show you this other perspective. It might exist. Who knows the percentage? But we only gonna show you this one perspective. That's the definition of what conservatives try to bring to liberals. That it's not your perspective. We have a perspective too that you just don't agree with. So you classify our perspective as
You
wrong.
don't have a perspective.
Wrong.
You don't have a
wrong.
you don't have a perspective.
See, you're doing it again. It's invalid to you. The fact that I tell you,
You don't like your perspective. Your perspective is not a comprehensive perspective, right? It doesn't involve a multitude of different things to come to a grand perspective, right, or a macro perspective. You can look at you can. Let me explain to you.
Let's break
You
one.
could,
Let's
you-
break, let's
I'm,
break
t-
one.
I'm talking to you. You telling me. So a perspective involves many different ways. You can have your own perspective. You can look at statistics. You can look at reviews. You can look at the news. You can talk to someone. That's how you come to a roundabout perspective. You argue that although I look at the news, although I see reviews, although I see data and statistics, it's all about my personal experience, and that's it. Because I got nailed on the neck, I got arrested, I didn't get shot, I didn't get brutalized by the police. So you know what? The statistics are really not true because my personal experience was different. That is not a comprehensive, practical perspective. You don't solve problems like that. You can't be a problem
That's not what I was.
solver with that very small microscopic view.
And what
Because
I'm saying,
if you
that's what I'm saying.
Let me make one more point. Let's just say hypothetically, the Republicans who don't elect black people in their party, number one. Let's just say Republicans change their heart and they say, you know what, we're gonna let you come in our party, right? How are you gonna make policy when only your experience matters?
It matters. This is where it changes.
Right. How you
How
are you gonna make a policy if only your experience matters?
Let me say it. If my perspective relates to half the country and you forgot because you thought it was just my perspective, I sat on your whole narrative. That's my point. It's only you making an argument. So you can only talk for you based on you agreeing with my perspective. You're telling me my perspective is individual. It's only individual because you're looking at it from a one angle. You only got two eyes to look at one angle. If a million eyes look at the same angle and see a different perspective than you, you just threw everything you just said in the trash because it doesn't fit your perspective. Perspectives are only based on angles. Here and here. But if you got 100 of here and here's, you can't think that 100 is going to be your eyes. It's going to be 99 different eyes, and they're going to be the answer. That's basically what I'm trying to get you to realize.
I have no clue. I have no clue what you're saying right now.
Only way a
I have no
conservative
clue what
can
you're saying right now.
Let me finish. only way a conservative can agree with another conservative is based on seeing the same perspective on two different angles. That's the only way two people from different walks of life, different states, different jobs could come to the same conclusion, is if they see one the same perspective on two different angles. If I'm looking at McDonald's right here, and you're looking at McDonald's on the opposite side of McDonald's, but I'm trying to tell you how McDonald's look, you still gonna give me a different prescription, a different description on McDonald's because you're not looking at it as the same as me. It don't matter. You're living your life in a different perspective. That's how people see shit. It don't matter. Conservative is a perspective of thought based on rhetoric. Right or wrong, good or bad, or how you feel about it, the word rhetoric is never defined. I know rhetoric because I got to study it because it's part of my.
Okay.
But
So answer. You're giving me a long 4-minute answer. What is your answer to the question? If you was an elected official for Republicans, how would you make policy when only things that matter to you is the only experience that matters to you?
you just
That's a simple. Just give me a 20-second answer. 20-second answer.
Number one, okay. Number one, I would not make policies on what just matters to me. That's not part of legislation. You're supposed to be doing it for the people. One.
How would you? All right.
That's the easy
Doing
one
it
answer.
for the people. How do you come to making policy when you don't? Right. But how do you come to making policy when issues only is important that you have personal experience? Unless your word says it has to hit home for me. So say they got issues that haven't hit home for you, but people within the Republican Party says, you know what, these are issues for me.
That's not
without showing some level of empathy or perspective. How do you?
I can show empathy and perspective, but I can't share your experience if I haven't gone through it. I'm a realist. I know my experiences. I've been kidnapped. I can't expect somebody who have not been kidnapped to live and understand in the brain chemistry and the things that go about being kidnapped.
You're going on a long soliloquy
It's
again.
not, bro.
Just give me a simple. I'm asking you, how do you make policy? I'm just asking. Just give me an answer, man. You're gonna give me 5 minutes.
I'm talking and you said I'm making it long. It ain't even been a minute, bro. Be quiet. Give me a second, bro. It ain't even been a minute. Like I was trying to say, I can't expect you to relate to me being kidnapped because I've been kidnapped. It's the perspective that I only saw. How the hell am I going to tell the world that it's illegal people out here trying to kidnap you? It's just criminals out here trying to kidnap. Most people don't live in that world. If you don't live in a certain world, you can't expect everybody to understand that situation. So as far as legislation goes, the only way I would even pass legislation is if I know a majority of the group of people agree and see my perspective. That's how legislation is passed. Agreements. You can't put it on the ballot unless they agree. That's how they check it off on the ballot. If they don't check it off, then they didn't live or see or understand or even validate that as even being a valid experience. I can have empathy for social justice and all these things, but if it's not,
can you stop there? Can I respond, man? You let me catch you at the point that I can make an argument. I can make a point, right?
Cool.
So you're not going to, you're not going to pitch your ideas to your voters. You're not going to do surveys. You're not going to test your solutions, right? You're just going to
you're just assuming.
put a solution on a ballot, and if the people vote for it, they want it. If they don't vote for it, they don't want it. That's how you think you would problem solve.
No, when it comes to, you said surveys and whatnot, the surveys are going to be done real time. So by the time I put the legislation out there, I didn't think you even wanted all. I didn't think you wanted all that. You just wanted it short. I thought you was trying to rush me. Be honest. I
No,
thought
no,
you wanted to.
you gave me a whole, you took me around the world. I just want a short answer. How do you come to problem solving when you don't when you don't recognize other people's experiences?
Data. Number one, your data, my data don't even match. So I need to make a reality check with you because you think your data's legit. One. Two, the fact that you know my data and your data don't match, that's not going to help your argument and make your argument. Three, when it comes to solving the problems, when it comes to data and surveys, my surveys are going to be based on real time. You're going to have a period and a cutoff, say January to 6 months. Once that cutoff happens,
Okay,
that
so
will
let's
be
find
my survey. You may
let's
you
find
may call my survey false,
let's find it.
which actually happened. This is
Let's
how
find an agreement. Okay, let's find an agreement here, right?
all right, bet.
That you agree, you agree that in order to problem solve, you do need other people's perspective, even if you haven't experienced it yourself. And that's why you would conduct surveys, you would test your solutions with the people, you would propose your solutions to the people where you could be tested and challenged with questions, right? And that's how you're going to formalize and perfect and shape your solutions. You are getting input from other people. That's how you problem solve. Sound like we agree. It took a long time to get to this point, but you agree that,
Yeah,
hey, you can't live in your personal microscopic bubble. You can't just stay at Jesse Lee Peterson's
I'm
home,
down.
right? Where he's going
I
to
get
turn
you.
you into
I
a
get
lab
you. Yeah,
rat,
I
right? And
get
he's
you.
going to shape and mold you, right?
I get you. I get you.
So, so you agree that you have, in order to problem solve, you have to have input. The inputs are people's perspective and experiences, right? You're going to look at data. You and I can argue. I think you want to argue my quality of data versus your quality of data. Let's just put that
No, I
aside.
know that's not going to agree. I know that's not.
We
We're
both
not going to.
hold on, hold on, hold on,
Let it go.
hold on.
Let it go. Let that shit
Okay,
go.
let's calm down, relax, calm down.
All right.
So you agree that you got to have data and that you got to have other people's experiences to come
I'm
to problem solving. So now that leads me to my next question,
all right.
right? Why is the Republican Party not inclusive of Black people? If you're saying to me that you have to have perspective, experience, data, you got to be tested and challenged on your solutions, right? Why is the Republican Party not inclusive of Black people like yourself? You could never run and be accepted within the Republican Party, and that's a party you support.
I just don't agree. That's it. See. I just don't agree. I believe if I'm naive, I'll be happy to die naive, knowing that if somebody else failed my belief, that's them. They got to take that with God. But at least I was trying to do what I needed to do from the inside. I don't believe that. I believe that ideology comes from and came from the idea that when people come to the Republican Party out of nowhere, the fact that they realize what you just said, they want to have the Black perspective instead of just having an American perspective. You just got elected into a specific position, which most Americans don't even have or own, let alone Republican. It's an old saying in the South. They say you'll never meet a broke Black Republican. It's a reason for that. They teach them specific things: own land, own
That
business,
that
own
that's
your
be,
own business.
that,
Certain things
that's
like that.
because that's because they pay sellouts very well to become a Republican. That's why you'll never meet a broke
You said
Black
they just
Republican
pay you very
because
well to
they
become a Republican.
they pay very well. If you look at your page, and this is why I want to do a part two, I didn't realize you was a hardcore Brandon Tatum fan. If you go and if you look at Brandon Tatum, and I
I know
debated
you
Brandon
say,
Tatum,
but I respect the
and he
platform. I'm
said,
being
and
honest.
every time he get hold on,
I respect
let
the
me.
platform, man.
Okay, calm down. Okay.
He said, calm
So,
down.
um, So, because man, once you get started, you don't stop. So,
It's funny
and then
because that's the
you
exact
throw my
same thing.
questions off. I'll be trying.
When people go on and on Jesse Lee shit, Jesse be like, "Calm down, calm down." So you using the same tactics, you just got your own swing to it. It's cool.
So you're a big Brandon Tatum fan, and I'm tying this back to Republicans. Black Republicans are paid well to be sellouts. I'm gonna give you examples. Look at Brandon Tatum. He gives you different answers on why he left the police force. One of his answers is that he got paid. This is him telling the story. He got paid $25,000 higher salary, and he got a sign-on bonus to work for a conservative organization that he didn't want to name. This is Brandon Tatum's argument. You look at Kim Classic. Kim Classic is not even she's new to politics. She's a Republican. She's running in Baltimore. She lost badly. It's like she only got like 25% of the vote, but she raised like $6 million.
That's horrible.
The Democrat there, right? The Democrat there only raised I think he raised like $500,000, 600,000, and she raised $6 million. So Black conservatives are paid well because there's a concept, and the concept is this: you could be a big fish in a small pond versus being a small fish in a big pond as a Democrat, because the messaging on the Democratic side is relatively all the same, right? There's nothing new and fresh or polarizing about fighting for the equality, equitable opportunities for Black.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Right. So, but on the Republican side, you got somebody like Candace that says racism doesn't exist. Man, that's polarizing. You get somebody like Brandon Taylor that says Brandon Taylor is a dog. Ahmaud Arbery is a dog. George Floyd is a dog.
He said they're a dog.
That's because those are polarizing.
Wait. I know. Come on. I know them very well. He ain't say that. He ain't say that dog. Well, I know what he said. He said it so many times.
Let me rephrase it. He talked about all three of those people like a dog.
That's right.
Right?
Criminals, not dogs.
I don't want to go into whether they're criminals or not, because you're gonna talk another hour. So so what I'm saying to you is, because the topic is, Republicans. You say Republican, you never meet a broke Black Republican. I'm giving you the reason why. Why you think Cornell, Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell, like Thomas Sowell wrote like 25 books.
To me,
Black people need to pull up their boot. Black people need to pull up their bootstrap 25 times themselves.
That's an entrepreneurship phrase. Literally, that phrase was put in the books of the most highly paid individuals on the planet. I'm talking billionaires. They wasn't talking about problems. They put all their once again, we're going back to energy. This is where I got on this topic. They put all their energy into winning. This is how not LeBron James, but who was the best that ever did it, who passed away in a helicopter accident.
Kobe Bryant.
He put all his energy into only being the best.
You so disconnected. You forgot about Kobe Bryant. You've been hanging around Jesse Lee so long.
Come on, bro. Don't even do that to me. I'm disconnected. I give you that. I ain't gonna say. How
you forget?
Come on.
What's the name of the person that's the best that ever did it? I mean, how do you forget that?
Come on, bro. All right, you got it. I was wrong. You got it. I should have known.
Let me ask you this: Did you go to Jesse Lee Peterson's camp?
Come on, bro. Kaepernick had me fired up. That's what that was. Like that's what that was. Come on, bro. I watched so many interviews.
Have you been to Jesse Lee Peterson's camp?
Can't fuck. I ain't been to no locations, no bond, no. They got some out here, but nah, no, I haven't. I only
Okay.
communicated with people who own their own business, and I go about that like that. I go about that kind of mind frame, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. How can we help the next young black own his own business? That it's certain aspects of the situation where I focus on. I can't focus on all of it because I don't agree with all of it. I'm being honest. I'm not all right. That's where I was trying to get you to understand. I'm not far nothing. I'm right in the middle. I may be right, but I'm not far nothing. I'm not going over there where they think all blacks are
Man,
anything.
you don't even know who Kobe Bryant is.
Oh no. So you just gonna hold on to that.
How can the black community take you serious, man? You don't even know who Kobe Bryant is.
Mm, mm. Now I don't know who he is. All right, well, I guess I'll take that to the chin. That ain't gonna hurt me. I had worse. But but my point of trying to drive home is like that
Oh
ain't.
man. So
My
all right.
point
So
is
let me ask you some. Can I ask you some qualifying
solutions.
questions?
All right, fine.
Can I
Before we hit,
can I ask you a
before we
question?
go to the solution. Yeah, before we get to the solution.
Okay. So which black conservative have you met in person?
Met in person. I ain't meet none of these famous people that you think are famous or Instagram famous, YouTube famous. I ain't meet none. But I have been on some of their
You met
shows.
you met
I've been on the Jesse Lee
you met
Peterson
Marcus.
show. You said I met? No, I haven't met Marcus, and he's the closest one to me. No, I mean, no. He asked me to get some drinks with him sometime. How about we go and get some drinks somewhere and blah blah blah. I haven't yet. I'm being honest. I haven't. So, me being in law enforcement,
All right. So
and
hold,
the way I,
hold up.
the way
But
I,
hold up. Slow down. You've
go
been on
ahead.
a Jesse Lee Peterson show?
Yes, I have. I've been on there when it came to his calling
You talking
session.
about you in person? Are you in
Nah,
person?
calling sessions.
So you met Jesse Lee
Tell me
Peterson?
what's on your mind. You a caller. Tell me what's on your mind. What you got? Boom.
Oh, okay.
It's actually on my page.
Okay.
It's about me
And what was on your mind when you hold on? So
Go ahead.
what? Okay. So what was on your mind that you shared with Jesse Lee Peterson?
A few subjects. One, which I didn't realize was important, was
Just pick one. Just pick one subject.
all right. Forgiving your parents and not resenting them. That's one thing that I realized most of the black community don't even think about. Fucked up parents or parents that you know weren't the best, and they put traumatic shit down onto you that had nothing to do with you. You adopt, and then you put it in your everyday, how you communicate with people, and it renders your life. Certain people don't even realize it's a thing. Once you realize, if it's mama, as he says, once mama imparts the spirit unto you, and then you got the spirit of mama. I agree. It's too many males out here walking around, looking and acting like they mama, emotional as heck, acting like women literally in the workforce, and even the girlfriends say, I'm getting likes on my Instagram because men are acting like their mothers. And when I play a clip of Jesse Lee Peterson saying that, I got women just like going, finally somebody said it. I'm like, I knew I wasn't tripping. No wonder you like them, because you can control them. If a mother can I realized from him, if a mother can control a male child as far as the spirit, and she's not even a man, because women love to say the phrase, "Oh, I'm your mother and your father," which I'm dealing with in my family a little bit. If we realize this is being passed down generation through generation through generation, Men being raised by women with no dad, no male figure. We don't even know what it's like to be a man. A woman can't teach you how to hold your nut. Number one. So how's she gonna teach you how to be a man? So I believe in that. I believe that a man should raise a man, a woman should raise a woman. It takes two in the family to make a child whole. That's one concept that I agree with when it comes to Jesse. So when I called in, that's what we was talking about. Resolve any resentment issues with
Okay.
if you had to with your parents, whatever parent. Because my mother, that's the whole situation.
Okay. I got you. Man, I hate to ask you a question, man, because you don't give me a 10-minute answer. Um, we gotta put a time. We gotta put a timer on you, man. Like 30 seconds. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like 45 seconds, something like that.
That's the
So
new
yeah, like 45 seconds, but we're gonna give you you got 2 5-minute answers or explanations total. And you can pick and choose when you're gonna use that 5-minute, you know what I'm saying? Once you use it's like timeouts, right? You got 2 timeouts, right? So don't worry about it on this one. I mean, we can catch
I'm with you
on the next one. But man, you shouldn't be an officer, man. You should be a reporter or something, man. You can talk, man. But all right, so where I want to go with this. So Jesse Lee Peterson. First of all, you said I couldn't use a certain word. I'm not going to use the word here, right?
Thanks.
But
Appreciate
Jesse Lee Peterson is my all-time favorite sellout. I can use that word, right?
Matter of fact, you can use the word based on this specific example because he agreed that he actually owns what you call the Coon Train. Literally, he has it's a train. It's a Coon Train
Right.
Award. So I can't deny that that's a real thing. We could mention it for this specific topic.
So Jesse Lee Peterson, me and my brother, we talk all the time, and we talk. He's on my side of the conversation. He's not a Republican conservative, but I joke with my brother because I pop popcorn, I grab a glass of wine, and I turn on Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube shows. That's how funny the guy is. Like, he's hilarious. He's an unbelievable coon. I have never met a coon like him before. I agree that he is the coon of the year. You know what I'm saying? Jesse Lee Peterson. He cracking up.
Just because you probably watched his most savage moments. Oh, you probably watched his most savage moments.
Yes,
just had you rolling.
Bruh, because you got it. Like the stuff this guy says. I mean, he's by far way more animated, funnier. He actually was even worse. He actually believes the things he's saying. Like, I don't think you believe the things you say.
I thought half the stuff he's saying was comedy. I'm being honest. I thought it was comedy.
Yeah,
I'm being honest.
Correct. So
I don't think it was
I
serious.
don't think like Brandon Tatum and Candace Owens, yourself, all these other conservatives, they don't believe what they're saying. I like Jesse because he actually believes what he's saying. So I can have a conversation with Jesse. It'll be a comical one. Like, I couldn't debate him seriously, but it'll be a very entertaining discussion. But lately, didn't Jesse come out and he had amazing. And but then Jesse, so Jesse has some issues with his son, right? Jesse just came out with some recent issues about him.
Recent?
Jesse recently had some issues around him being a low-key homosexual.
Oh, here we go. This is news to me for real. Like, where this coming from?
Okay, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna speak. I'm not gonna go too far into it. I'm gonna look it up and I'll send it to you. But
There you go.
I have seen
Man,
snippets of
now,
information
what you
of
talking about?
Jesse Lee involved in some form or fashion of some type of homosexual activity, right? And he runs a manly platform. That's supposed to be his
Yeah,
platform.
heterosexual,
So, but
a
going back to
heterosexual alpha male platform. Yes.
but going back to because Jesse likes to make Jesse is not he's not a certified counselor. He's not a psychiatrist, right? But Jesse
So
Lee
how the
comes
hell does
across like he is.
how the hell does
But if you-
so how the
I,
hell
I've
does
been
how
to
the hell does
I've been to a
how the hell does you sign up for counseling service if you ain't certified? I'm being honest. How do you sign up for counseling services with somebody who's going to counsel if you're not certified? You could just what is it, consultation? Like what is it? Like people literally sign up.
What's your question?
People literally sign up and have FaceTime counseling services if they can't meet the location. If they don't live in Cali, they have FaceTime counseling services with them. So I'm trying to figure out how is he able to do that and it's not legit. That's what I'm saying. Is it a consultation? Like what is it? Like you know what I'm saying?
Who are you talking about? You talking about Jesse Peterson?
Yeah. Like he
Jesse
literally
just be talking coonery.
this nigga. This nigga.
So, but what I'm trying to make a point here. Jesse is not a certified counselor. He hasn't been to school to be a psychiatrist, right? And I've been to therapy before, right? I've been to a psychiatrist before, right? And so, and I advocate black men to go to psychiatrists, right? It don't necessarily mean like I like Charlemagne the God's lane around that, which is black men or black people should you should have a therapist just like you have an attorney or a CPA. You should have a therapist that you should see a couple of times a year. You know what I'm saying? If not once a month or bi-monthly, whatever the case may be. So because it's great to it's great to work on empowering your mental mind. Also, besides your physical. So where I'm going with this is this: because Jesse Lee is not a psychiatrist, he doesn't work on rooted issues, right? So when you say, hey, when you go to a psychiatrist, they start talking about your upbringing, and they start bringing up things that you never thought about. And Jesse Lee don't deep dive like that. He only talks about the surface things because that suits his narrative. He talks about forgive your mom, forgive your dad, because they didn't provide you the best home, or they didn't get you into the best school, or because it was on welfare. He talks about it as if your mom and dad. He talks about it as if your mom and
I think I can picture him like that. I thought in my eyes, what I got from him, I think I picture him like that. I thought what I got from him when he goes to mother and father, household, family, I thought he's directly going to what is the attitude, characteristics, and spirit of your mother. What is the attitude, characteristics, spirit of your father? He said he uses these words like, "Was your father weak?" If we got, I'm just this is literally just a random example.
That's my point. Well, hold on. But that's my point. That is a surface analysis. When he says it, yeah, because he said, is your father weak? Whatever that means. But let's say you say, yes, my father is weak. The next question, what a professional would do, they would find the reasons why your dad was weak. Was he molested as a kid when he grew up? Was he abandoned? Did he come up in a foster system? Was he beaten? You know what I'm saying?
But we actually heard these questions on the show.
Jesse,
because I heard this question literally today on his show, She said blah blah blah. Father, she was Monique. He had an interview with Monique. Monique got molested by her brother. Perfect example. He did an interview with Monique earlier today. So Monique said, "Yes, I got molested by my brother." So then he asked her, "So did you forgive him?" She said, "Yes." That was it. She said they talked about how it happened, how the forgiveness happened, why she forgave him, and did it work? They went through the whole gambit, but it started out with the hurt. The why comes from hurt. Hurt comes from why. Why are you hurt? You're hurt because what?
That
You
that that's that's that's
who
still
you
that's still
your
an
brother.
elementary. That's still a very elementary evaluation of someone's experience, right? Because just simply saying, have you forgiven them? And then you kind of talk around about that. There's a lot more deeper layer questions and reasons behind that. Where
We
I'm
could
really
get
getting
that, but
to, what,
you
where I'm really getting to with this, where I'm going with this is because it has nothing to do with being molested, it has nothing to do with being raped or anything like that. I'm tying it back to why the black family is broken. And the reason why the black families are broken is because of all the undue justice that black people face that Jesse Lee doesn't talk about. You look at redlining, you look at mass incarceration, you look at the crack cocaine disparity, you look at Reaganomics, you look at what happened. You guys talk about the crime bill 94 with Joe Biden as well.
what
All of those things had an issue with why the black family is today. The reason why white families don't experience that is because they didn't experience racial oppression. It wasn't because white families are smarter and better with kids. It's because they didn't deal with the obstacle that black people had to face.
and
That's the level that of deepness in a conversation that Jesse Lee doesn't provide because Jesse Lee only talks character. What do you say? Character, spirit of your parents. That, that's an
what
elementary.
he said.
That's what a two.
He don't look at the color. He looked at
That's
the
what a
content. That's what he said.
right.
Content
That's
of the
that's
character.
how a 2-year-old evaluate. That's how 2-year evaluate family issues.
But I bring that back
And he
to
does, and he doesn't. He
I bring that back to you say content. I bring that back to content of your character, color of your skin. That's what he was mentioning. In that aspect, I agree. When I was growing up, I know exactly how I acted. I know when I acted out, it was at a specific time when I hung around specific people. I even got convinced by my black brothers, "Huh, go ahead and do this whatever wrong thing in class. It's something that I know is gonna get me in trouble or suspended. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, bro. You know, we ain't even gonna snitch, bro. We going back to the snitch thing, black culture, and this starts when you're young. We ain't gonna snitch, bro. Boom, boom, boom. Situation happened, I do it, blah, blah, blah. The individual who told me to do it get in trouble. I ain't even never snitched. He looking at me like, bro, did you snitch? He find out who snitched. Then he get on the dude who
well
snitched.
we well
But
we know you don't snitch. We covered that
I ain't talking about
last
me.
time. You don't snitch
I
on
ain't
bad
talking about
officers.
me. That's not the point. I ain't talking about me. He found out the dude who snitched. Then he like, bro, why you even get involved? Culturally, it's not even supposed to be a thing. In my little analyst in my brain, I go, do white people got a snitch culture? Like, forget the Italians, throw that away. Do white people got a culture where when they fuck up in front of all their peers and they gotta suffer the consequences, y'all don't go, oh, this nigga fucked up. He trying to put it on me, bro. No. And I realized that when I started watching First 48, when I started watching shows like that, black people crumble when it comes to the snitching situation if they realize their whole life gonna be done based on somebody they never f with in their life, but happened to be in the situation that they was in. All that I'm black and I'm no snitch, all that goes away, and the police find that out, and we put it on the paper. We weren't the snitch. We're telling you this who the snitch is on the paper. You gonna have to find out that Joe's the snitch on the paper, and both y'all live in the same complex, cul-de-sac, neighborhood, or hood, and y'all gonna have to figure out because all y'all gonna have to share the paperwork at the end of the day. And because both y'all gonna get locked up in the same prison anyway. And everybody know, everybody find the paperwork out against the snitch. So that's that cultural thing. If we had if that word didn't have a connotation on it of somebody doing something wrong and trying to get somebody else in trouble, whatever, I don't care what you call it. If I go out and shoot an old lady, you know what I'm saying? I should be held accountable if I fuck up. It don't care if I did it in front of blacks, I did it in front of whites. It shouldn't even matter about my consequences because the situation that I did was so broad. And then we go to the solution. Solutions now. Then we go into solutions. If we want to solve our black community high violence rate or police brutality, the only way we can fix it is if we take the stigma out of snitch. And if we was to remove the word, I realize in certain cultures they penalize people who are wrong, like Middle East. They don't have a word for snitch. They just deal with it. It doesn't exist. They don't have a word for tattletale. It doesn't exist in their vocabulary because they don't have authorities. They take out authorities. When ISIS don't fuck with the police, they bomb the station.
Okay. So what's the blueprint for getting rid of snitching? Like for example, in the police, how did the police get rid of snitching?
How does the police get rid of snitching?
Yeah, how did they? I'm assuming you're making this argument that snitching happens in the police. They came up with a solution. So I'll say, why we don't use that same solution for the black community? So what is that solution that the police came up with? Got rid of snitching, got rid of no snitching.
Perfect example. I'm gonna tell you. The female who came to me saying, "You know what? I'm going to snitch, and I don't even give a fuck about the consequences," is the only way. If you think you're gonna die tomorrow, and that's the only consequence you're gonna give me for you to tell me what's gonna happen tonight when I leave and get off the clock as a police, knowing when I'm gone, he's gonna put the gun in your head. There's no other possibility. If you look at me as authority in that manner, period, that means you gave me power. One, knowing individuals around you.
No. Give me the formal solution that got rid of no snitching within the police.
That you said that got rid of no snitching?
Right, because there was an issue within the police department, right? Within the police, that police don't snitch on each other. I'm assuming by you making this argument, right?
I told you that don't exist. That's bullshit. That don't exist. That's just bullshit. Police snitch on each other all day long, just like any other job. That's bullshit. That's a mainstream talking point.
Police snitch on each other all the time. So give me some examples.
Nigga, that's the only way the DC-12 got locked up. They didn't get locked up by criminal snitching. They got locked up by their own saying, "Hold up, bro. Let's investigate this shit. How come we getting blamed for? How come our academy, our department getting blamed for shit you doing? Matter of fact, we about to get you out of here. And you know what we gonna do? Everything that you've been doing, we've been jotting it down. That's called snitching. Inside, that's how you get bagged and caught. You can't have a prostitution ring bag without.
I'm gonna make an assumption that you are correct. I don't know enough about the DC-12. I'm gonna assume that all DC-12 went to jail, and they received punishment for whatever wrongdoing they were doing because of snitching. And that's your example to say that snitching happens all the time in the police department?
when I say all the time, I'm being realistic. I'm not in every police department. But when you say snitching happens all the time in the police department, I'm a realist. I'm giving you examples exactly what I could describe. I'm not gonna act like
You
I
gave me
know
one example.
all
You gave me one example, right? I don't know if that example
that.
is true. I'm just trying to move the
That's
conversation forward that you are correct. So I'm
yeah, and
asking
that's
you, based
mainstream.
on that
That's
one
a mainstream.
example,
That's a mainstream example.
okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'll look
All right.
it up and I'll get back with you on it, right? But I haven't seen the DC 12 make any news for snitching. It just hasn't hit my radar. Now, everything doesn't hit my radar. I could be wrong. I'm gonna make the assumption that you are correct. I'm asking, is that enough for you to say, you know what? That one example kills the narrative that police don't snitch on each other.
That's the thing. I can't go to every example and say this is what it is, this is what it ain't, because it's almost the
All
same.
right. Okay, so you don't have enough information to back up your point. You have one example. I'm gonna give you that example. But and then you're trying to propose, even if you don't have a solution, you're trying to propose this to the streets. Now, the police has HR. We talked about this already. The police has HR access. They have police unions, right? They have ways to protect themselves, right? They can document it.
Oh, I didn't even.
Police don't usually
My
knock
bad.
off each other. They are examples like that, but they don't usually knock each other off like people in the streets would do if you snitched on them. So
No,
there's a
say that.
lot less.
No, I can't say that because we lose jobs. You can't say that because we lose jobs. You can go to New York and you go to Cali. You got compromised police situations where if you do snitch, you'll never be heard from again. It's not the same. That is a lie. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. When the mafia infiltrated the
That so
MPD, mafia infiltrated the
but
NYPD.
but
It
right,
was
but you're favoring my right.
that.
Hold on, but you're favoring my argument though. You're making my argument stronger, right? Because
How?
the consequences of a police officer is less compared to someone on the street. As a police
That
officer,
was
you lose your job. That is
what I just said.
that is a weaker consequence compared to someone on the street who could lose their life.
Not
Right? So
true.
although
That's
you
the
don't have any
consequence.
strong, you
No,
don't.
no, 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 no. That's a consequence from the side of employment. Once you don't have a job, everybody who knows that you snitch, you think police don't have cousins that's in the streets that know you just snitched? Their cousins are gonna be the street niggas on the block that did a deal with the same police that kept the drug dealer on the street because he making 5,000 a night, he making 500 a night. The police is gonna look out for the 5,000 a night so he can have a job. No criminal ain't no cop. Everybody knew this back
So
in
my
the day.
man, my man. What I'm asking you is a job more important than your life.
My point is, it never stopped at the
Okay,
job.
then,
That's just
right? Therefore,
you assume that it stopped at the job. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
right?
You think it
Right.
stopped at the job. You think the officer that snitched,
But
he lost
still, there's no overwhelming evidence that officers snitch on each other and then kill the person who was snitching at the same pace of people who snitch on the street. There's no
and
overwhelming evidence.
it's only one
The
reason
chances
for that,
that
though. It's only one reason for that, though. I'm gonna give you the main
it
reason.
doesn't matter what the reason is.
No,
It doesn't matter what the reason is.
You know why? Because if we both go set up an organization where we know literally we're bound to each other that if you snitch, if I take an oath with you tonight that if you snitch, I'm gonna shoot you, your daughter, your father, and your mother. That's an oath we took that ain't got nothing to do with nobody. It don't matter what job you got or nothing. It don't matter if you're a cop or
so give me an example. Give me an example where a police officer.
Let me
Give
finish
me
my
an
point,
example.
though. Let me
No. Just give me. I'm trying to speed it. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. Give me an example of a police officer who snitched and he got murdered and his family got murdered.
the daggone Giuliani situations when he took out the whole mob. The whole people families got murdered. The whole JFK family got murdered. They was telling like shit, locking up monsters, and they got killed in front of every goddamn body. If you got to find this, if you got to have the proof in your face,
okay.
then you don't need to like that.
You picked up right, but you picked the highest. You picked the highest elements you could pick. You picked Rudy Giuliani, an attorney, right, who's not a police officer, who took down the mob. How's that comparable to everyday people on the street in Chicago, New York, New Orleans, whatever the case may be?
Because black people adopted the mob's rules and cut out the boss man. That's how you created gangs. Once you cut out a boss man or a capo or boss or a leader of an organization, you have gangsters and gangs and thugs who rob niggas with no consequence. That's why in my generation, we came up with fuck bosses, fuck mobs. We're gonna rob whoever the fuck we want. Ain't gonna be no consequences until it's a snitch created. Without
right,
that
but
snitch,
you all over the place, man. You're all over the place.
I'm not, because you talking about consequences from snitches. I'm going directly. I could go into my
basically you can't give me an example, right? You have to go 40 years back to give me an example about the mob, right? And everybody knows you don't play with the mob. We're talking about everyday people. Niggas in New Orleans are not part of a mob. They don't have sophisticated gangs like the mob. You're talking about an organized crime, one of the most organized crime families in the history of crime families. That's what you're gonna base your argument on.
Can't even use.
Black people should stop. Black people should stop snitching because of the mob.
My perfect example is, say, white boy living in suburbs, snitching on whoever does a crime out in the open, but don't know he watching, right? I can't even, number one, you can't even prove this Negro's a snitch. Because number one, what I learned was you can literally just be on a snitch on the payroll, just giving information, and you get a slick $1,000, $5,000 cap in a small state, right?
So why do you support Kingface?
You said, why do I support Kingface? Because he was the first person he was the first person who came to this country and was honest about somebody who came outside the country, who fucked over our laws and expected not to get some kind of repercussion when you fuck up coming over here and trying to get a benefit out of a new situation, a new land, new
Kingface choke women.
You're stating something that I can't even validate, so I can't go again. I can't do nothing with that. I don't know.
So when you, I mean, it's your guy. This your guy. You should know him, right? You post, you follow Kingface.
Yeah,
you should know this.
But random situation, I have nothing. I don't even know if that's true. Random to me. That's random statement on somebody who just don't follow Kingface to me.
Okay, you calm down.
So you just
Kingface has a video.
That's a fact.
Kingface has a video. Right, this is a fact. Kingface has a video. You can go on YouTube. He's in the video saying himself that when women get out of line, you choke them.
It's different if this nigga was.
That's what he said. This is out of his mouth. It's indisputable.
It's different. You talking about a nigga who's a real pimp back in the day, validated. Period. A real blood with anarchy on his arm and all that other shit. You're not talking about some Joe Schmo on the street who was just trying to be conservative thug. This nigga was a literal real pimp. That's the brain of a pimp. That's called guerrilla pimping. So you trying to tell me somebody who really guerrilla pimp, who was honest about guerrilla pimping.
So let me ask you something. I get it. Calm down.
It's a specific way you gotta go about it. Certain females want you to choke.
I get it, my man.
We got crazy bitches out here who say, "Nigga, I'll fuck you."
I know. All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. Don't throw his name under the bus like that, bro. Nah, that's passion
So,
right there. Because he dead, man. You can't be
so
doing that
you choke women? You choke women?
during sex if they want it. You're damn right. That ain't nothing to apologize about. I know women who tell me to choke them during sex.
No,
That's
no,
not
no, no, no,
even
no, no,
no.
no, 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 no. Come on, no. Stop pivoting and
You gotta be real. You
solving
gotta be
into
real.
positions where you
That
think
you can't just bring you choke women. Negro,
permit.
no. That's a
Do
common
you
sense answer.
do you do you do you
Negro,
do
no.
you brutalize
I don't choke
brutalize
women. I don't
women?
promote choking women. If it ain't got nothing to do with sex, I don't
Why
promote
you
it.
get
Oh,
why are you getting upset?
I gotta do. How am I being upset? I just said if it ain't got nothing to do with sex, I don't promote it. How is that? How am I showing me being upset?
I can tell. I can look at your demeanor. You're getting upset because I'm asking questions about Kingface.
I say because he passed away, and you throwing the
Right,
name in a situation,
right.
and I
But
thought
I'm
that was
saying,
kind of
but you
me. That's messed up.
right. But
Like I
you
can't
was extra excited. All right, you was
because I
extra
can't. You
excited
can't
when
do it at
Brandon
all.
Tatum.
Like that's messed up.
Hold on,
If I was
right? But
King Face, I'm
hold
like
on.
he can't argue his point. Come on, bro. I
Let,
wouldn't
let,
do that. I'm not bringing him.
let me okay. Let me give you context. Why are you extra excited when Brandon Tatum talked about George Floyd like a dog, Breonna Taylor like a dog? Like y'all accustomed to talk about people when they're dead, but when it happened to your boy, y'all get really emotional. Y'all get wet and moist around Kingface. Well, y'all can't even have a constructive conversation, right? I'm telling you what he said on video. You tell me I can't bring up what he said on
Telling
video?
you what he said is hearsay. I'm gonna treat you like a lawyer and a judge. I don't do that hearsay shit. If it ain't here now, I can't use it as valid. We never used the hearsay shit with somebody who died that got in confrontation with the police. Because before that, they never said shit. That's my point. If you never heard of these individuals before they got into a confrontation with police, it should never be a topic. If it's just brand new, it should be based on policing. It shouldn't be based on everything. That's all I'm saying, bro. Don't make a police situation your everything situation, bro. That's simple as hell.
I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know how you distinguish between Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, where it's okay to talk about them that they're dead, but you getting really upset because I'm asking you about Kingface. I'm bringing up valid points.
Because I literally seen Kingface stand between a police officer that almost shot somebody and took swings from the individual who wanted to die that night. I never seen a black person take that kind of a L from somebody who told the white police, "Shoot me, kill me, nigga." Come on, swinging, do it. What you gonna do? If you got that much, you can't call him a coon or anything if he doing that. That's a hero, bro, and he passed away. That's my nigga when it comes to that, bro. Like I can't not respect nobody who put themselves
That
in the line of duty. Like me as an officer, if anybody
that's a
came in between me,
that
somebody trying to wreck, I've been in a situation where somebody told me mace them, shoot them, all that. Mace them, shoot them, everything. But the dude was homeless, right? If somebody came in between me when he was lunching out off whatever, that nigga's a hero. He didn't give a fuck if he died. He didn't want to see the situation go bad. And if you think that's coonery, that's fuckery in my eyes. Because he literally, I seen the video. He was like, nah, it's not going down like that. He literally jumping in both of their ways. Literally got hit in the jaw in the face for the individual that was swinging at the cop. The cop didn't pull his gun out. He stopped the whole situation from going left. That drew me to Kingface. I never seen a black man in between a white police officer and a distraught black man, and he like, no, no. And he literally saying no. This not about to go down. That drew me to another kind of black person. I was like, why would you even do that? That's the first thought. I was like, why would
uh,
you? Why?
yeah, okay. All right, I got your point. I got your point, man. I got your point.
But I don't see how that's wrong.
Man, Kingfish got you aroused, man.
Aroused. Now it's a rap. Passion is a rosation.
whatever you want to call it, man. But you extra around King Face.
Not make sure around Kingfish. I told you, he passed away, and what draw me to him, that made me passionate because I was in law enforcement and I'm still am in law enforcement. So I don't see how that is making me.
King Face is on video saying fuck George Floyd. I don't care about that nigga.
In my eyes, I go, most people that died and you didn't know them, you don't give a fuck about them anyway. That's most people. That's most black people. We don't connect with people we don't know. We don't put in our category of we love them because we didn't know them. That's most black people. My brother,
Well, man,
my brother who
you
led
you
a Black
you
Lives Matter movement didn't give a fuck about none of them niggas. So you can't even act like they gave a fuck if he didn't give a fuck because he led a Black Lives Matters
okay?
movement.
So
If
let me summarize. I'm just
then
all right. Let me just summarize here. So basically, you're okay with King Face choking women, and you're okay with him saying George Floyd is,
hey, hold on, brother.
he's the
Hold
nigga
on.
that he don't care about.
All right. I'm gonna put it in the lamest terms, the best way I could describe it. When I hear the words "fuck George Floyd," this is how I internalize it. I never knew the man. If he was any other motherfucker, y'all wouldn't be doing this shit. If it ain't had nothing to do with social justice, y'all wouldn't even mention his name. From that context, the words "fuck George Floyd" don't. I can't. I'm not getting offended because I'm being honest. I didn't know the Negro. 1, 2. If you putting guns up to pregnant women and later in your life you OD, Negro, fuck you. I don't feel sorry for your little dumbass because you was getting high as shit, and when you was in the back of a motherfucking police car, sitting up like this, talking with your neck outside of the door, you telling them I'm going to die. Obviously, you are creating the energy that is going to happen in about 15 minutes, but you didn't peep it. What you say out your goddamn mouth on how you protect yourself and your energy. I'm gonna keep saying this shit until it clicks on.
King so
Ends up being the result that you're
so
gonna
so
get. If
yes, George Floyd, yes. uh, uh, okay. I'm trying to, because I gotta wrap up for the night, man. I'm trying to speed this up a little quicker. So you do know so George Floyd had a situation with a female, pulled a gun on it, right? The case was resolved. King Face choked women and pimped women. Do you not see the contradictory in your positions?
only if King Face was doing that in his
Like
current
how?
state,
So
with
let
mainly I actually talk to
let me ask you
females.
this question.
I
How,
talk to
how do you
females who
how do
feel
you
real
how do
sick,
you
so I
how do you
can't
know?
agree with you on that, bro.
Let me ask you this
You know
question.
what
Let me ask you this question. Let me
I'm
ask
saying? Okay.
you this question. How do you know when you're keeping it real with yourself?
You know you keeping it real with yourself when you get tested. Period. If you can test what you say in front of the people, in front of the people who don't agree with you, and the people who do agree with you at the same time, you know you're real. Period. Because you wouldn't care how they feel. That's the only way I could tell if you being honest. If you generally just don't give a fuck what somebody else like. If you telling the truth, you shouldn't care how somebody else feels. If you think it's the truth, you just shouldn't. It shouldn't be nothing
But
inside of your
but it's
heart that
not
goes.
it's not a but right. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about you. How do you know you are keeping it real
That was my
when
perfect
nobody else is
example.
around? I'm saying, how do you know you're keeping it real? Keeping it real doesn't mean I don't care what other people think. That's not. That's one aspect
I
of
know
keeping
I'm
it real.
keeping it real.
But
I
I
hold the
want to
same.
know.
I know I'm
how do
keeping
you
it real.
how do you know
If I hold the same
how
standard,
how do you know
if
when
I hold the same standard
I'm
for myself
right?
as I
I,
do
I know.
somebody else, that's how I know I'm keeping it real. If I hold the same standard for
Okay,
myself
so you
as I do
okay, so you
somebody else.
base okay. So you base it on standards. So I'm asking you, do you pimp women?
No.
You say no.
Yeah, I said no.
Okay, so that's not part of your standards. King face pimp women. This is what you admitted to.
I said that is something that he did in the past. By the
So
time
how
I
you
seen him
keeping it
on,
real?
I was old. When I'm looking at him and watching the lives and watching the interviews and shit, he's saying that is
But
the past me.
but
So
but that
I
was
can't
George Floyd.
act like
That was George. But that was George Floyd passed too with the female.
you talk. We got to talk about how far you talking about, because if you're still doing fucked up shit,
Oh,
then you can't.
oh man, you're killing me,
You
man.
know what I'm saying? Hey,
So
you
all
talking
right,
about life decisions, brother.
so so what's the threshold of how long it needs to be in the past for it to qualify to have a statute of limitation? What's the statute of limitation of keeping it real
It wouldn't even be
or
a
pimping
statute of
women
limitation. What it would be is, did you actually switch your life over to doing positive or not? Are you putting your energy towards what you could do for somebody that doesn't have or not? If you're gonna even be held to you shouldn't have a gold casket if you out here doing double drugs, bruh, and not doing positive in your. I'm not talking about making one post that's positive. That ain't good enough, bruh. We got uncles that's drunk
you do
that
know
tell me,
you
if
do know
you're not
King Face
doing
did
that,
drugs
if
too,
you're
right?
not doing something, huh?
You do know King Face did drugs as well. He smoked weed on
We
camera
ain't,
many of times.
we ain't got shit on methanol and coke and meth, because I literally had to bring these motherfuckers back to life as police. Me, I had to. You got to put that bullshit name no
Okay, okay.
Narcan.
So
So when somebody says,
so
when somebody says,
it determines. Hold on. This short answer, man. I'm trying to wrap this up. So it determines what type of drugs it is for you to say if this meet my standards or not.
you said the word, what type of drugs? Number one, most people don't think the word weed is a drug. Weed is not even classified in this age and period in law as drug. That's why it's decriminalized. You don't decriminalize drugs as a right as far
We on a federal we on a federal level, weed on a federal level is a crime. There are still guys in jail for marijuana. Yes, we're coming to a point where marijuana is becoming more acceptable, but it's still not legally on a federal level, and people are still in jail for marijuana.
my point
You're
is,
cherry picking
you can't lock
because
somebody up out here for no
and
weed.
there's a
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
so so
I
my
can lock you up
point
for
is this
meth,
the
lock
point.
you up for the other shit, but I can't lock you up for weed, bruh. That's the definition of what I'm
Yes, you
trying to
can.
get. You
So if
I
you're driving,
can't,
right,
bruh.
and you're
You
high,
can't.
hold on.
It'll
If
happen
you're
already. If
if
you
you're
driving under
driving
speed,
and you get
that's not
stopped by a
called
cop,
intoxication.
if you're
But that's
driving, you get stopped by a cop, and you're under influence.
of
Can
weed.
you get? Can you? Yes. Can you get arrested?
The word arrested is relative. Is it going to be a
Oh, come on,
charge
man.
for fine?
Why every answer gotta be long, man? Come on, man. Give me an easy.
Nah,
Come on, man. Work with me, man. Yes or no?
we talking about law. It's going to be a chargeable crime. It's going to be thrown the fuck out. I'm being honest. Our the actual metropolitan police department supervisor said these words: "You cannot lock somebody up for weed." I don't know about your state, but their supervisors are telling us we can't. What do you call it? Command. They're commanding everybody to stand
My
down when it
man,
comes to weed.
can you
They can,
drive?
they
Can
can
you
roll down
drive? Can you
in my
drive under
city.
the?
Yes, I'm being
Can
honest,
you
bro. And DC,
drive, my
yes, they can lock you up. They
man?
can't.
No, you cannot, man. You cannot. You cannot
Come
drive under
on,
the
bro. You ain't
influence of
talking shit.
marijuana.
I'm being
No,
honest, bro. I'm being honest. You gotta come out this
no.
shit, bro. Outlaws are not the same, bro. You know how I know? Because they made a documentary with a dude that had an ounce of weed in front of the cops, and the cops had to tell him it ain't shit I could do. An ounce.
Yes. You can. Yes, listen to me. You can have an ounce of weed in front of the cops, and they may not arrest you because that's the guidance they're getting from the government.
In his
However,
car and
there are
drove.
different levels. No, they are. Yes, you can have an ounce of weed, put in your pocket, and drive. That's not what I propose to you.
I
I
said
said
he
if
was
you
high.
under the influence, if you're my man,
Yeah, under the,
if you
he was high
cannot
and drove off.
drive,
So
my
you,
man, you cannot listen to me. Okay, okay. So let's just say in your case, they did let him go. However, that is not the direction. That is not the guidance by the government to allow people to drive under the influence with marijuana. No one
my
says that. No
point
one
is,
promotes that.
I guess that's what you don't understand. Police don't do it. I guess that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. They know it's a waste of time in court. They know the judge gonna throw it out. They're not gonna put their physical body in harm's way on that daggone well, or ounce or zip or whatever the tray five, whatever you want to call it. It ain't gonna make it in court. If the judge told
My
the
man,
police who got to do the work to do,
cities started using a special device that they can test people if they're high or not. They
oh,
just
this
came out with it. There's a
I'll
reason
give
why
you
they
that.
came
I'll
out with
give you
that.
that. I ain't never
Be-
heard this shit. I'm gonna give you it. You got it,
uh,
bro.
uh,
You got
yes,
it. I ain't never
yes.
heard that.
So let's one more thing. One more thing. I think you're gonna get
Wow,
emotional about this.
that's just crazy.
Collect
It's not emotional.
yourself and breathe.
It's crazy.
Collect yourself and breathe. Right, relax. So King Face is also rumored to have infected women with HIV. What are your thoughts? Hello, yo, yo. Okay, can you hear me? I hung up when I asked that question. Wow.
All right, so I'm back, but lost connection. All right, y'all. I'm about to close this out. That was pretty good of a debate. Yeah, ain't too much of no. It was pretty good. Yeah, different perspective. So appreciate y'all for joining. Peace.